How am I doing?
Still a little
Can you see
laggy.
me and hear?
I can see and hear you. You're a little laggy, but we're gonna deal.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
So I'm going to teach with my saber in my left hand and my hilt in my right hand, but as you're learning, you're gonna learn the opposite. So your saber should be in your right hand and the hilt is gonna start in your left hand. Okay, so when you're looking at me, we should look like the same, like a mirror image of each other. So first we're gonna start with just some spins. You should see I have a black tape here, and I'm always going to spin on the blade side of my black tape. So I start at right flat, and the first thing you want to do is push. This hand will touch your side, and then the saber locked in with your elbow closed. We'll do that on count 8. So if you're doing it with me, we get a count of 5, 6, and 5, 6, squeeze, push. And everything's tucked in, saber goes straight down. How's that coming through? Good, Jenny. Okay, and as you push, so I don't know if I'm talking to students or instructors mostly, so I'm kind of going to talk through the process of 1 spins, 2 flourishes, 3 a flips exercise, and 4 some tosses. Those will be our 4 things that we'll learn today. So we're going to start with just 8. I'm going to start at flat, and I give myself 5, 6. On count 7, I'm going to squeeze, and on count 8, I'm going to push. And you'll see that every time my saber is straight up and down. So my hand is directly above my hilt. This checkpoint is very, very important for every single skill you'll ever do on saber from spins forward. Okay, let's try that 2 times together. Here comes the first time. 5, 6, and 5, 6, squeeze, push. Check that your elbow locked in, there's no space here, and this other hand push strongly down your side and your saber is spinning down. Okay, last time. And 5, 6, 5, 6, squeeze, push. Awesome. So the next start a spin. Notice that straight up and down is really important. 1 spin. So you'll see that my balance point is taped and my hand is starting way out at this other tape. And there's a good amount of space, like 12 inches between my hand and the balance point. When I do my first spin, when I push the first spin, it goes down, there's 12 inches of that, and come in and re-grab my saber, where my hand will touch the blade with only about 4 inches between my hand and the balance point. So on the first, we change how much space is between our hand and the balance point on the saber. I'm going to go model that. Go 5, 6, 5, 6, squeeze, push up, down. And I've reduced. You'll know that once my elbow locked in on beat 8, there was no more motion from my elbow. So I'm gonna do that again as a model. 5, 6, 5, 6, squeeze, push, reduce the space. And my elbow did not separate from my side. Okay, if you're not, okay, here we go. And spin, 5, 6, 6, squeeze, push up, spin. Did you reduce the space? And is your elbow close to your side? Last time on that skill. 5, 6, 5, 6, squeeze, push, and squeeze. Check your 2 things. Did you keep your elbow in? And do you reduce the space? Okay. Try 2 or 3 spins. And now that I've reduced this space, this balance point is going to travel at that radius around my hand as I spin. Just like, so let's Six, squeeze, push up, 1 and 2. Notice that my elbow didn't move in the L shape right here. And my saber always down. I'm back. I'm gonna chat just so that if anybody, I come check the screen, if you need something, I'll try to check the chat every time I come back. So we were doing 3 spins. Again, we're starting at flat. I'm gonna squeeze my straight down, reduce the space, and then this balance point will travel at the same radius around my hand as I continue each spin, and each spin, stop straight down. Okay, let's do 3 spins together. Stop on 3, on left hand straight down my side. Right hand in an L shape. Balance point, pushes from my hand. Great, one more time. 5 and 6 and 5, 6, squeeze, push up, down, up, squeeze. Awesome. So I hope you did well with that. Notice that my hand that pushed stays all the way down my side and I do not move it off that side, giving me a strong looking body. Good job, Melanie. I see you getting it. Okay, so now we're gonna go, if I was instructing and students had mastered 3 spins, which I'd probably do with them 3 to 5 times, and I would go around the block and assist some students with specific information who are struggling. Then I would come back and add to maybe 5, maybe 10 spins. And then I'm going to talk about how to stop the saber. Saber, last spin, slight catching in it. Okay? So I'm spinning, and on my last spin, I'm going to lift and try to catch in the hilt. And what I had to do was raise the point from 4 inches below my hand, and on my spin, I lift just slightly so that the balance point, and however long your saber is, and the balance point. Moving spin and raising balance point. As they spin, just do some spin, catch, raising the saber up and catch straight up. Then we move straight up and down count 1. And the next count 1, however long you want your frame. But right now let's do 10 and stop on beat 11. If you want to do it with me, go ahead. Here we go. 10 spins. Stop straight up and down on 11. 5 and 6 and 5, 6, squeeze, push up, 1 and 4, up 5, up 6 and 7, 8 and 9, and okay, straight up and down. Awesome. If you can, Randy, if you can hear me, those, every time I say end, my saber is literally up above my hand and down. Okay, let's go back and try 10 plus 2 times. 5, 6, and 5, 6, squeeze, push, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and 11. 5, 6, and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11. Okay, so I like to catch straight up and down. Okay.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Thank you. She like froze, and then I heard 2 words, and I was like,
I'm the same. I'm just trying to like catch little things of what she's saying. But I know if you guys are here for beginning Sabre skills, you probably need to see what she's doing. So we'll see. If we can't get her Wi-Fi any better, we might need to can this one because I don't know if you guys are as frustrated as I am. But she always has such great information to share. Maybe she can go and say, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like she can move closer to her house. I don't know. We'll see when she comes back in. It's weird because we did a session with her a couple days ago and she was in the same place and she was totally fine. Technology, go figure. Okay, here she comes. Cross your fingers. Shady, shady. Okay. Well, it looks better. Let me unmute. Okay, wait. Talk to us.
How's it going out there?
Oh my God, that's way better.
Okay,
Did you change something?
I told the people in my house to please turn off their phone's Wi-Fi and to please not be on the Wi-Fi and to shut off their computers and stop doing online trainings.
I'm sorry, Shannon. Thank you for sacrificing.
No, I really just want it to work, so I'm so sorry.
No, this is way better.
Okay, awesome. Well, then I'll just kind of like go and review what I did. I'll talk just quick through it on the left.
Okay.
But I think I taught through like 10 spins plus 1. Did everyone kind of get that part? All right, got some thumbs up and some hand. Awesome. So I'm gonna go back and kind of show you what to do next. So you could just switch to the left. And of course, like I would work on the right for a while before I kind of transferred to the left, but just depending on the skills. But I definitely would do both sides over a couple of rehearsals. So we ended up catching straight up and down in the hilt. And I want to pull my saber out to flat. Notice my hand really moving out and my elbow up. And I catch underneath the tape with my other hand. And I'm going to take my hand and reach fingers down over the front of the hilt. Squeeze, flip. Okay, and now I'm ready to go on the left. So I can do all these skills on the other hand. Okay, so one more time just for that transition. I'm spinning on my right. There's no motion of the elbow. You should be able to see the balance point going around my hand. I'm gonna go really slow. You can see it going around my hand. I'm gonna change the balance point, get it above my hand. Catch, I'm gonna pull out and really open up the space here in that side of my body. This one's tight. I'm gonna put my fingers down and reach over in front of the hilt, squeeze the top of the hilt guard and flip. And now I'm ready to go on the left. Okay, and then I'll just review the breakdown for the bad internet on the left. So the first thing that we did was count 5, 6, say squeeze on 7, squeeze all the energy into your hand and push on 8. Getting this is really important space. I'm closing that up and using that as a push. That will assist with your timing. When the hands close down on 8 and the saber stops down on 8, you've got a good start, okay? The next thing I would do is go 8 and 1 into my first spin. And again, I've moved from way up here with my hand to only about 4 inches above my balance point. And this elbow is locked in place and did not move. Also notice that my elbow is open just a little more than 90 degrees, just a little more. You don't want to be smaller than 90 degrees because then gravity is not on your side. And you got to use gravity as your friend to help you with spinning these sabers. Okay, so we would have squeeze on 7, push on 8 and 1. And I've done that, close that space, check for straight up and down. You'll see a lot of wobbles in opening sabers that will go You know, and all that, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. So next I would move up to 3 spins where the balance point rotates at about a 4-inch radius around my hand. So we'd count 5, 6, squeeze, 7, push, 8, up, 1 and 2 and 3. And I kept that space here and it rotated around. I want to check for straight up and down. We want to check for none of this. Can't be doing that. That is too much motion. So check for that as you repeat this skill with your students over and over. And you're also checking that each spin is quality squeeze straight up and down. Quality squeeze straight up and down. Okay, once we've checked 3, then we move to like 10. And then finally we're catching the hilt on 11. So I'll just say, let's go ahead and do that all the way on the left. We'll do 10 spins. We'll catch straight up and down on 11. Here we go. 5, 6, and 5, 6, squeeze, push up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. No motion in my elbow. 9 and 10 and 11. I've raised the balance point to like several inches above my hand. And then to transition back to the right when we're ready, and we can do both sides independently. You would pull out to open up this space, fingers down over the top of the hilt, squeeze, flip, and you're ready to go on the right. So now you can make this exercise continuous, side to side in small increments of spin. Okay, so there was a quick rundown of the spins. Do I have any questions that I could answer about spins specifically, or shall we move on to something else? This is my typing wait time. Okay, fantastic. If you do have a question, just type it over there in the comments, and if I miss it, Susie will probably let me know and ask it to me out loud. Thank you, Susie. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to an exercise called flourishes, and flourishes this flourishes I will teach you does not involve spins. It is about manipulating the wrist and loosening up the wrist. So all these muscles in here, they tend to be really tight. Like you'll see people get tennis elbow. Well, that's because they don't like work and stretch these muscles a lot. And so to use the Sabre effectively in the 2-dimensional space, you really have to be able to manipulate your wrist, kind of like this. And that's what flourishes are for. So when you're doing flourishes, you don't want to bend your elbow so much. You're working your wrist. Your wrist should work like this. Okay, and then you're also working from the shoulder a little bit. So you're kind of doing this figure 8 motion from your wrist and your shoulder, but not with your elbow. Okay, so we're gonna do a spin-free version so you can get kids started if they can't spin yet. So start it right flat. And the first thing we're gonna do is push everything together like a bouquet of flowers. I'm gonna switch and do it where you have your right hand under the Sabre and your left hand on top. Okay, right hand under, left hand on top. Starting at flat, you come together like a bouquet of flowers. And our first set of flourishes we're actually gonna pull. So your right hand will pull down and then start to come this way, and you're gonna flip your wrist and lift up. So I'm gonna go back to do that again. Right hand up, left hand down. We're gonna come up like a bouquet of flowers. You're gonna pull through like a smiley face Sabre that'll come across the hips. The elbow lifts, and then I'm gonna turn my elbow down and switch my wrist under. Okay, and that's how we start. So I got 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, and I come up to the top. Then I'm gonna try to keep my elbow pretty straight and let my wrist and fingers release, and the Sabre goes behind me and starts to come back up. And then it will go in front and behind and in front and behind and in front. And you notice my elbow isn't really doing anything. That's why I put my fingers there so you could see how it wasn't doing anything. I'm gonna keep that flourish moving behind and in front of my body. I really gotta loosen my grip up on my Sabre, so I cannot squeeze my Sabre and do that. My grip is literally looking at my Sabre, something like this. So I have a pivot point for the hilt to move a little, within a really tight grip of my index finger, middle finger, and thumb. Okay, so I'm calling this the pull flourish. Like pull, like you're pulling a rope, like tug of war type pull. So again, this is my right hand and my left hand. I come up hands together, then I'm gonna pull. Lift the elbow, turn the elbow over, loosen the grip in the fingers, let the saber fall behind my body, comes back up, in front, up, behind, up, in front, up, behind, in front, behind, in front. And when I'm ready to be done, I'm gonna come back, bend my elbow in, and pull, or I'm stopping the saber upside down and flat. Okay? So I'll give you some counts here. I'm gonna go 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 6, ow, up 8, 9, up 10, 11, up 12, 3rd, up 4, 5th, up 6, 1, I'm gonna grab on 1, hold 2. Ow. Then I would have the ability to grab over, squeeze, flip, as we did in the previous exercise. And now I'm ready to go with my left hand palm up and my right hand palm down. So I can repeat the same pull flourish on the left. So I come meet my hands together. My left hand will take over in the hilt, elbow leads up. I come through smiley face saber. I've got to take that elbow and rotate it down in my shoulder socket. Now it's going to release the grip and go behind and in front, and behind and in front. Notice it's a wrist manipulation, a hand manipulation, and a shoulder. The shoulder allows the arm to go slightly forward and back. I'll do it to the side here where you can kind of see that. Like that. And when I'm finally ready to be done, I would lift up, pull my elbow in, and flat. Then I can grab and switch. Okay, so if you're ready to do it with me, we're gonna do 16 counts of flourishes on the right, and then we're gonna stop, flat, and flip and switch, and then we'll do 16 counts on the left and grab flat and flip and switch. And if you get lost, don't worry, this is recorded and you can go back and practice later. So I'm on my right hand palm up, left hand palm down. I go 5, 6, 7, up, 8, and 1, up, 2, 3, up, 4, 5, up, 6, 7, up, 8, 9, up, 10, 11, up, 12, 3rd, up, 4, 5th, and pull, and 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 5, hold 6, squeeze 7, up 8, down 1, up 2 and 3, up 4 and 5, up 6, down 7, up 8, down 9, up 10, down 11, up 12, 3rd and 4th, 5th, elbow in, and 1 over 2, flip 3, hold 4, and da, 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 up, repeat. So I like to call that the pull flourish because we pulled. Oh yeah, I'm okay. No, I'm not bleeding. I don't think. I just bonked myself a little bit right here. It's okay. Worse things have happened. I'm gonna go ahead and do the push flourish now. So the push flourish is the same skill, except for instead of the saber pulling in front and behind, we're gonna be pushing it. You're also gonna need, I think I'm gonna ask you to rotate your shoulders like 90 degrees as we do this so that you're kind of facing the saber so nobody gets bonked. Okay, so same skill. I got my left hand, my right hand is palm up, left hand is palm down. So I'm gonna come up this way, but now instead of pulling, I'm actually gonna push across and turn my saber down. So again, right hand palm up, left hand palm down. Put my hands together, and then I'm gonna start to push across with my right hand and turn that saber down. And I'm pushing it where it crosses the center line of my body. So if you're watching from the side, as I start to push that, you'll see that I push it to the back side of my body where my hand is crossed. It can't stay, it has to cross. Okay, so I'm facing you again. I put my hands together, I cross, I turn my shoulders, I turn my hips, the saber pushes it down, comes behind, and I'm gonna loosen my grip and loosen my wrist to let the saber come down, and then back up here to the side. So I go down, behind, up, down in front, up, down, behind, up, down in front, up, down, down. And then when I'm done, I'm gonna do a little loop-de. So I have to pull this into my belly button, bam, And I'm back to this upside down stop position where I'll be able to reach over, grab, flip. And now I'm ready to do my push flourishes on the other side, or any combination of the way you want to switch through these skills. Okay, so let's do that push flourish again. I'm using my right hand to flourish. So my right hand is starting palm up. My left hand is palm down on the top of the hilt. I go 5, 6, 7, up, 8, down, 1, up, 2, down, 3, up, 4, down, 5, up, 6. Notice it's just the wrist and the shoulder, not the elbow. 11, and 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So 15, 16 got me back to this place, and I go flat on 1. Let's try it again, okay? 5, 6, squeeze, 7, up, 8, push across, down, and up in front, and up, and 6, and 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, loop D, back, and flat, over, switch, hold, repeat. Okay, and you can do the same on the other side. I got no comments on that one. So you could switch back and forth, and then you can also take it down to a smaller number. So if you want to do like 16 pull right, 16 pull left, 16 push right, 16 push left. If you didn't have time for that, you could just do it in sets of like 8 or 12 or whatever was working for you. Good job, Melanie. Try to keep your elbows straight. See anybody else doing it? Okay. Is there any questions on that flourish exercise? Again, it is to build up the wrist and forearm muscles, as well as train yourself to work more two-dimensionally around your body without whapping yourself in the head. Okay, awesome. Then we're gonna move on. Okay, so I was gonna do just a small like release catch. Remember, this is very beginning Sabre. So I think if people are looking for more advanced skills, then you might want to check out a previous week on our Music for All, the color guard page there at the Music for All website. You can see that there's some videos of other people doing some techniques too that might get a little bit more advanced, but I'm still kind of trying to stick to beginner techniques for people that have never done it, or you're starting a basic line, like a beginner line. So let's move to just a few flips. Again, I'm gonna be your mirror, so you should be probably doing this with your right hand lead, whereas I'm gonna set up as your mirror. So my right hand, which is my left, which is your right, is palm up. So your right hand will go palm up, and your left hand will go palm down. And we're just gonna do a little push like a spin. And then I'm gonna come up and catch with my hand in the hilt. So I'll go push, catch. Just like how we stopped the spin, but the goal of this time is I'm gonna put both hands on to stop it. So as I do this skill, I'm gonna bring my left hand up to catch at the tape. Okay, so all together I go 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna squeeze on 8. I'm gonna push on 1 and catch on 2. 1, 2, oh. 1, 2. Catching straight up and down, hilt down, tape up. Again, 5, 6, 7, squeeze, 8, push, 1, catch 2. And what you'll notice is when I pushed, my saber and everything is on the right side of my body. But when I catch, my saber and everything is in the center of my body. So part of the manipulation is to move the balance point to the center. I did not do. And moving the whole saber to the center of the body. Okay, next we're gonna pull flat. Let me repeat this again. Oh yes, okay. So you're gonna pull your hands together and up, and then out and back to flat. So go 1, 2, and up, and pull. Now I should be back to where I started. And push, squeeze, and up, and pull. Again, 5, 6, 7, squeeze, 8, push, 1, 2, hold, hold, go, up, hold, and pull. Hold, push, 1, 2, hold, hold, and up, and pull, and push, squeeze, hold, hold, and up, hold, and flat. Hold and push, squeeze. This will be the last time, up and pull. Okay, so there's a very basic link or very basic flip. You can always increase the rotation to that because that's just like a half flip, and you could do that with like a single if you wanted to. And then I would go ahead and try to do this at a couple other angles as well. So you could train this to go to the next angle out. So I've just caught slightly further to the side. And then when I pushed up, I would still push up, straight up and down, and pull back to flat. So now we're training the hands to not go here, but to go here. Just slightly different placement of the hands. 5, let's catch at the angle this time. Here we go, 5, 6, 7, squeeze, 1, angle, and up, and flat, repeat, push, angle, and up, and flat, repeat, touch my side, angle, and up, and flat. Okay, awesome. So hopefully you're seeing every time that I push, my hand that's gonna push is gonna touch my side and then come back up to catch. I wanna keep that nice and clean, and I always wanna teach that muscle memory of my push hand pushing to my side. Okay, and then coming back up to catch. Even if it seems like not a lot of time, you should do that. And these techniques should be taught at a slow tempo. So this shouldn't be like 120 beats a minute. We should probably be teaching these techniques around 90 beats a minute to maybe 100 beats a minute, including the spins. We want to keep those slow and controlled. Okay. Yeah. So I'm aligning the shoulder like the angle is like a seat belt. So I want to catch it in the middle of my collarbone, splitting where I would wear my seat belt is where I need that saber to come through. And this hand is also where you'd wear your seat belt. It buckles here. And I want to catch the saber through my shoulder and at my hip. So I like to call it the seat belt angle. It's a good strong angle, and it's controlled within the core of your body. Okay, then if you are going to continue this exercise, you could go ahead and move to a flat catch all the way over here, but I would still transition by pushing up and pulling back to flat. So let's do that one. I'll model a single series of it, and then we'll go ahead and do like a series of 3. So I'm gonna push. This is my push on 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, catch. All the way over here, and then I would come up and pull. Let's try a series of 3. I got 5, 6, 7, 8, push 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7. Repeat, push 1, 2, 3, 4, up 5, and 7. Last time, push 1, 2, 4, and 5, and 7. Okay, and then as the students learn those skills, maybe in a rehearsal or 2 rehearsals, if we've done it and we're getting better, we can start adding those into combos where we catch like 2 straight, 2 angle, 2 flat, or 1 straight, 1 angle, 1 flat. Or if your students need some memory challenge or some like working on the ability to remember stuff, you can mess with the exercise and say, first round we're gonna do 2s, second round we're gonna do 1s, and see, play a little game of remember if you want it. But okay, is there any questions about that exercise? Obviously you could do it on the left as well, because I did it on the left and you did it on the right, so you could do it on both. Okay, let's move on then. So next, if you have questions, remember, always just type them over there and we'll get to your question. We're gonna move on to the basic toss technique of how to dip the saber and release the saber. So now we're gonna flip the saber around to, you're gonna put your left hand in the hilt, and I wanna take the meaty part of my hand right here and really press it against the back of the saber. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my fingers and they're gonna hug onto the front, and I'm gonna take my thumb and I'm gonna press it kind of just firmly around the corner of the hilt. So what's not happening is anything right here. That's all open and free. I don't have any thumbs in there. I don't have any fingers in there. So you're gonna press that. So I really wanna press the meaty part against the back, and then wrap those fingers around the front and tuck this thumb right up here on the corner. That's with my left hand. And my right hand, I'm gonna put my index finger over the third and start it flat. So from this place, my elbow is up on my right hand, that where your right hand, your elbow should be up. And as we move to dip, the elbow needs to go down and lock into place. The other elbow is gonna open into a large angle, like 140, 160 degree angle there. So when I'm starting at flat, my elbow's just like a little bit larger than 90. And when I go into that dip, you can see that that angle really opens up in that elbow. So you'll see a lot of students that try to dip like this. And all I did was lift my shoulder and I did not manipulate the angle of my elbow, which is like trying to jump from 2 straight legs, or, you know, like trying to jump on concrete instead of a trampoline. Like that trampoline is going to help you out. So is that lowering of the hilt or lowering of the equipment into that dip. So again, starting at flat, see this elbow's up. I go into the dip, I'm going to snap that elbow down, lower this and open that arm into a larger angle. Also, the saber is pressed away from my body. There's some space there. So this is ineffective dipping because it's going to stay too close. So I got to keep that pressed out and open. I would practice that skill, just the dip skill, for timing and body shape, probably 10 times every rehearsal and before I ever tossed anything, if I'm in a beginning saber block. So I would count. Squeeze on 7, dip on 8. I'm looking for a sharp snap right here and the opening of that elbow down. 5, 6, and 5, 6, squeeze, dut, dut, and repeat. 5, 6, 5, 6, squeeze, dut, dut. And the things we're checking for is elbow down, space between the body and the saber, open angle, palm pressed tightly, nothing in here. Okay, let's do it just one more time. 5, 6, 5, 6, squeeze, dut, dut. Elbow down, space between the saber and my body, open angle, nothing in here. Okay, after we've done that skill, we would move to the release point. So the release point, there's a lot of physics that goes into this. So I'm gonna turn my saber over, yes. My elbow moved very little. My hand went straight down my side. Okay, so let's look at just the body element of this. My elbow is gonna move the least on my tossing hand. My other hand is gonna close down, which you've been training on spins for all the days you've done it now. Hand goes down. Okay, so from dip last time, push. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna talk about is the saber. So right now, there's like, right here on the end of my saber, when I dip, that is right here on my side, and it is going to raise vertically to my release point, straight up. When I flip my hand over, this part of my saber is gonna elevate straight up. Okay, and then I'm just turning the saber over that point. So now the end is still directly above where it was in the dip. And the saber switched sides. Okay, so if you can imagine like a vertical line that happened right here, in the dip, the bottom of the hilt was here and all the saber was up like this. And I turned my hand over and all the saber went out here, but this, all it did was go straight up. It didn't go in or out, okay? I got 5, 6, 7, squeeze, 8, and push. And I would stop here, and I would stop here, and I would stop here for like 10 times every rehearsal until I saw the elbows down, the saber's still in front of my body, it's not back here. Yeah. Okay, and again, I'm gonna start here now. 5, 6, 7, squeeze, 8, and push right out here to the side. And this is vertically above where it was in the dip. Okay, also you'll notice that the saber is flat to the ground. Yeah, when I get to the release point, it's flat to ground. Yes, I do call it the vertical line or your railroad track. Very true. And you want to keep the saber hilt traveling up your railroad track. I guess the Sabre, you really just, I'm not sure which elbow specifically you're talking about, but in my dip right here, this does just touch my side. I don't want it to be out. You don't really want space there because you want to try to minimize how much distance that your bicep has between you and your body, just because it's going to eliminate any room for error. So one time I might dip and my elbow's like this. Next time it might be like that, like this, like that. If I just pull the elbow in as tight down as I can, I don't really have to worry about variation so much from person to person. So yeah, the other elbow. Here, this one. So this elbow, like that. Yes. All I want to say about that elbow is when you start at your flat place, your pre-dip, is that your elbow is probably up and elevated. And when you come down to this one, it just needs to point down. So you don't want to dip like this. This is a bad dip. This is no good. I really want to rotate that down and have the energy of my hand ready to go down. Okay, if I get up here, now I've got to push. I got to push down my shoulder and my elbow and my wrist. But if I do it in the process of the dip, my shoulder and elbow and wrist are already below the Sabre. Whereas if I dip like this, my shoulder, elbow, and wrist are above my Sabre. So in a technique program and a building program of basics, this isn't what I want to do. Always want to come like this into that dip position. Okay, you're welcome. So we talked about dip. We also talked about release point. If you're beginning, you want to separate those, and or I would even teach them in a series as like 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, reset. 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and reset. So that we get the separation of the two elements so that people don't blend them together, because they're really two separate steps to a toss. One step is dip and another step is to release from that dip. So a lot of times students want to blend them and they're like 5, 6, 7, 8, toss. And the dip never really was a thing. And so you're not teaching yourself or them consistency. You're not teaching themselves a muscle memory because their goal is to just toss and not to do the pre-steps. So that's like, let's go ahead and write a paragraph with like only learning a portion of the alphabet. Like, not a good idea, right? Okay. So after we do 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we've taught this place, the next thing you want to do is just to open your hand. And the Sabres, if you have the balance point, just like in line with the end of the hilt, the velocity of it will take it itself. So you don't really have to do a lot of manipulation other than the ones we've just learned. All you want to do is open your hand with your fingers straight up, and the trajectory or the pathway that your Sabre will take is whatever your fingers point. So if your elbow to your fingers is pointing vertically, that's where your Sabre is going to go. If you go like this, your Sabre is going to go whichever way that you point your fingers. So as you go for that first release, I'm going to switch sides just because I'm doing it now like a left toss. So I was your mirror and now I am not your mirror. So I go 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm going to bring this up, release, catch. And that's just a small single to train the hands to come back. 7, 8, fingers up, catch. That's a very small single. Notice that now I'm just going to point my fingers straight up and come back on top. 5, 6, 7, 8, up, catch. And as I go to catch, I'm trying to come back in and get my hand underneath that outer third. Okay, is there any questions about that? I feel like I went kind of fast, but that's what we do. Okay, so to move up, if you have questions, type them over there and I'll get back to them. As we move up, so I did my single. Obviously, I can't get my elbow under my fingers for a single because it's too low, but as I move up to the double or the triple or the quad or the 5, you'll start to notice more and more how my wrist stays above my elbow. So I would say 5, 6, 7, dip 8. This is like a single. They kind of stay in line, but my elbow doesn't move. is like a double. You can start to see the change in this section of my body. This is like a triple, and you can start to see that the elbow is getting under the wrist, and then like a quad. Now I've really got this nice elbow under wrist. If I moved up to a 5, you'd still see this motion, and if I moved up to a 6, you would still see this. If I moved up to a 7, you're gonna notice that every time my elbow would stay under my wrist, but we're just gonna start with maybe like a double next. So I'm gonna toss on 1, it's gonna rotate in the air on 2, and I'm gonna catch it on beat 3, and it's gonna be a double. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and 3. It's a little low. 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and 3. One more time. 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and 3. Okay, so we did several of those. So some things you would want to look at as the instructor is, where did the balance point go once I released it? And hopefully what you'll see is the balance point goes from out here and it comes to my shoulder and it rotates at the left side of my body. So I want the balance point to rotate in front of my left shoulder and then come back down to my left hip. Okay, so I'm gonna do a couple more of those where you can just watch the technique of the Sabre. You might want to sample that 1 or 2 times, and then you also might want to pay attention to the technique of my hands. So I'll do 3, okay, for you to observe some of those things. So I got 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and 3. And hopefully this rotated at my shoulder. Here comes the second one. 5, 6, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and 3. And one more time. 5, and 6, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and 3. Oh, that one kind of went too far. So that one went over to my left, and that is because I believe when I released my Sabre, it was not flat to the ground, and I released with the balance point lower than the hilt, which didn't give it the right kind of energy to travel vertically as I would hope. So let's see. That's a basic like double. And I have about maybe 5 minutes left to work with you all. So I could either answer some questions about any of that, or I could kind of show you a basic blade release, which is also a great skill for Sabre. So any questions, or should I just give you a basic blade release? You're welcome, Randy. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and try to run through a blade release in this last 4 to 5 minutes before we shut her down. And then maybe Susie, you can type my email over there in the side. And if anybody wants to email me, again, I'm Shannon Clark, and I will try to answer your questions or provide you whatever resources that I could with Sabre. You can also look me up on Facebook. I'm Shannon Clark, and I wear like a UK hat in my picture and have a lot of color guard things around on my page. So feel free to Facebook message me also. I'd love to help you out. So our basic blade release, I'm gonna be your mirror again, take my right hand, put my right hand index finger about the tape mark. I'm gonna press my thumb pad on the back, put my 4 fingers on there like I'm playing the flute. Okay, and the other hand, I'm just gonna grab in the hilt. Again, I really wanna press the meaty part of my hand against the back and wrap those fingers on there and keep this open. You don't want any fingers in there. Okay, so just like a spin, when you pull your hand down, this is a beginning checkpoint. You want to open this up and keep it low. This doesn't give you any kind of leverage. This gives you leverage. So let's say we have 5, 6, 7. I would want to squeeze a blade toss on 8. I want to pull down on the and count, and I want to head up to a release point on the whole beat. And again, you're going to notice that the thing that doesn't move a whole lot is my elbow. I always want my elbow below my release hand. You never want your elbow to come above your release hand. So you'll see a lot of students do this to try to release, and they're never going to be able to master technique of the equipment because this doesn't allow for gravity and physics to work the right way in the equipment. So to throw a basic blade toss, thumb pressed, fingers wrapped like a flute, thumb pressed, fingers wrapped up here. I'm going to pull down on 8 and release. I'm going to pull down on and release on 1. So I get 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. That's great pacing. Notice I put this hand tightly to my side. Then when I'm doing a toss, every whole beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, my hilt should be up. Every half beat, my hilt should be down. So just like we paced out the prep. So this time I'm gonna go and 1 and 2, and I'm gonna catch on beat 2, and your hand just comes in to catch at the balance point. You have 5, 6, 7, 8, down, up, squeeze at the balance point. And 5, 6, 7, squeeze down, up, that was much better. Okay, and one more. And 5, 6, 7, squeeze down, up. And so that's like a basic single. You're gonna find it to be pretty simple if you're in control of the time and pace of your saber. And then to move up, let's throw a double this time. So I'm gonna get down, release, and up and catch. And that would be my double. Down, out, up, catch. So the hilt should go up 3 times. Once on the release, once on a rotation, and once on the catch. That's a double. And 5, 6, 7, squeeze down, up. Go a little faster. And 5, 6, 7, squeeze down, up. One more time. And 5, 6, 7, squeeze down, up. And when I'm teaching this, I really teach my kids to say the ups and to spot that hilt on the up. So down, up, catch is that double. And to move up, there's always one more hilt up than there is number of the toss. So that double was down, up, catch. My hilt went up 3 times for that double. Just increase by skip counting on your way up. That makes sense. It's okay, it's shannon.clark78@yahoo.com. Shannon.clark78, thank you. Gabriel, are you asking me for the blade toss, how to keep it from going wonky in the air? Help it stay, is that the blade toss or any toss? Here, I'll talk about on both sides, okay? So when I'm doing the blade toss, I've really got to get my thumb pressed on the back and then my fingers wrapped like a flute. And as I pull down, I'm gonna make sure that I keep that blade in that tiny little slit that I've made for it. So you think like you're making like a little slit like for a piece of paper, and you have to keep your fingers there. So as I swing down, I really gotta let my pinky finger release, because if I held it on there, it's gonna pull the blade out of the plane. So I gotta keep this between a pinch, and right now it's just pinched lightly between those fingers. And as I come up to the top, it's kind of like even less. So as I go to my release point, I'm barely guiding the saber and I'm mostly pressing it in the back with my thumb. And then you have to keep your palm. It's like if I'm starting and I swing down and I go to release, my palm has to stay always this part facing the audience. So if I take my hand and I rotate it out where my palm's not facing the audience or flat to the wall in front of me, that's when you get that spinny stuff going on. It's like I'm squeezing right here and you can see my palm. If I open my hand, my palm is facing you, and all the way through the process, if I open my hand all the way through the process, my palm is going to be facing you. Okay, and that's how you keep them twirls out. Also, I've left this part of the blade exposed all the way through the process. So if I wrap my fingers around it, it gives me a chance to pull it, like you're plucking guitar strings. So I don't want that. I really want to guide it. But notice that the whole time my palm through the process, my palm is facing you all the way through the process of the toss. Okay, same thing when I toss out of my left hand. I said it's really important that you press that palm against your saber hilt and then you wrap your fingers on. Nothing's in here. So as I go to toss that palm all the way through the dip and release point, that palm is going to face you. And I'm not going to pull at the inside of the saber.
That was awesome, Shady. I'm so glad we got your Wi-Fi worked out, because I would have been sad if we missed all that great information.
Yeah, me too. Sorry about that at the beginning.
Teacher. Thank you.
There's the culprits back there sitting on the porch.
Tell them now they're free to get on their Wi-Fi. Now we're going to go battle Robbie's Wi-Fi problems.
Okay, hopefully he won't blow down today.
Yeah, it's less windy in Kentucky today.
It is. It's not very windy at all today.
Well, thank you bunches. This will be going on the YouTube channel, and we'll just, I'll try to edit out all the craziness at the beginning and get to the.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Feel free to message me or whatever if you would like any help or support. I'm loving doing this, and I'd love to help you out some. So thank you for coming today, and
Thank
enjoy
you,
the rest of the
everybody.
sessions.
Yay.
Have a great day.